something went catastrophically wrong in respect of mica and pyrite. Catastrophically wrong with these blocks that were used to construct these homes. And let's also agree that those responsible for these catastrophic wrongs have to be identified and have to be held to account. I have no argument with you, and the people of Donegal and Mayo and Clare have no argument with you on that score. You have called this a scandal. You have said it is appalling, and you're correct on both counts. You have said that you will enter into a time-bound process to put things to right. And I welcome that, because we need to be timely and efficient. But what we also need to hear from you as head of government is that the scheme that will be landed on will represent, in reality, 100% redress. The last scheme may have...
I always dreamed of owning my own house, to be honest. It was a dream, massive dream of mine. And when the recession kicked in Ireland the last time, and around the 08 and all, that just put a massive dampen on it. There was no way we could make it work. So we never gave up on it. Hey, we went over and back to England. So I did, went over and back in England and stayed away from the family. Missed a lot of Mark's upbringing, which is sad, but we had to get the dream of owning their own house, or the castle, as the man says. Every man's house, no matter how big or small, is their castle. And we kept plugging away every year. We got closer and closer, and after 8 years of over and back to England, and kept on going at this here, and going through this here house, I'm just looking back at photos here. My father-in-law helping with my phones, us carrying diesel into the sites, my son Mark helping at the foundation levels. These memories they're shattered dreams now. They're all gone now after this, what's happened. Because after the 8 years, whenever we come back and we finally got the house up, and it was just like, yes, that's us. We're finished. We're out of England. We don't have to go back anymore. We've got our home. We're done and dusted. Savannah moved on here the year Savannah was born. She's 8 now. Whenever she moved on here was the first year that we moved into the house. And the next thing, Savannah was 4, we started seeing cracks. But I don't know what happened to me. I seemed to put it to the back of my mind. Didn't want to believe that my house had Mica, and that I was going to be one of these ones affected, that my house had it. And even whenever I went out for coal and logs, I would come in and I wouldn't look at the walls because it's cracks. I would walk my head down, because I didn't want to believe that all my hard work of years and years of hard work away from my family was for nothing. And the next thing, I couldn't fathom it, like, because with all the memories on this here, like, my father's passed away now, like, he plastered the cornerstones of his house, like, you know, it's not just bricks and mortars to me. We built this here with our own hands.
Exciting times, busy times.
Eddie designed this house himself, so as long as I had a nice kitchen, I didn't care what else was left in the house, to be honest. So we went through the whole planning process, and that took 8 weeks or whatever, and then we got planning approved, and yeah, we got the digger in, and it was a momentous day to get the digger in, and the first sod turned as such. And then it took just over a year then from start to finish, and we were trying to plan a wedding in between times, which wasn't easy.
Yeah, I think I was left to do the house, and Orla was left to do the wedding. I think was the agreement.
Yeah, but that didn't happen, because Orla had to pick and choose kitchens and flooring and colours, and you know, so I had the wedding and the house. But you know what, I wouldn't give it up for anything. We had stressful, happy, fun times.
At the start, probably like everybody else, you think it's just a settling crack and you don't pay much attention to it. But definitely the winter of 2010, cracks after that seemed to get worse fairly quick then. You know, and then into 2012, 13, 14, and they really started to show all around the house, and then people started to chat about this thing called Mica, and that's when it all really kicked off then.
It was very hard to take at the start, to know what Mica was and to know we had it in our house. Yeah, we hadn't had any testing done, but we knew. You just know. Now there was a lot of tears and we just didn't know what we were going to do. Were we going to lose our home? Did we have to go and do the remedial works ourselves? Were we going to have to pay for it ourselves? The kids are 13 and 11. They know, they're not silly. They know what's going on. They ask nearly on a daily basis, what's happening with the house? Has the engineer got back to you? What about the council? You know, it's constant.
They're fed up with it. You know.
They don't want our house demolished. I mean, I have their height charts at the door. You know what I mean? There's things in the house, like the kids, or memories are here. You know, the first time they walked and what they did, and you know, if there's a piece of paint fell off the wall, oh, you did that whenever you were 3 or 4. You know, you have these memories here. And I would be heartbroken if we did have to demolish our house, but at the end of the day, the nightmare would be over.
The mental health side has taken an awful battering. As on top of this 100%, not just 100% that we need to get, there needs to be a plan B for the mental health side of stuff, an office, people to walk onto. I've never seen as many people. I've had women and men crying. I've been outside the shop chatting to women and they don't be talking too long until they're crying. There's people on the verge, and I don't like saying the word, but I have to say it because it's hard handling facts, but there's people on the verge of suicide and they just can't take it no more. I've been chatting to a woman that left her children to school, and she told me whenever she came home, she cried for the next 5 hours, and she had to compose herself to go and lift them children from school again. And our government knows these stories. We were on the working group, and I told them some of the most horrific stories you'll ever hear. Since I started this campaign, I've had people phoning me. I've been out in the shade, walking about on the phone to them, and I've come in here myself, and I've been crying, listening to their stories, because I know they're on the verge, and I'm trying to tell them, keep your chin up. Listen, there's light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to get it. If we don't get it, I am just scared of my life of what's ahead of us if we don't get the 100%, and I will be ashamed to be Irish.
As time developed, our cracks was getting bigger, our windows was getting more twisted, and you know, and then more people was kind of, how would you say, more people was you know, they were in the same boat as us. So for the first few years, we probably weren't feeling too, you know, we're feeling alone probably originally, and now we're feeling we're all in this together, because like this whole community's got that. Like every second house in this area has that. Like in my family alone, we have 3 houses that has Mica in their homes. 2 of them are down for demolition. This is our forever home. This is where they were going to cart me out of. This was home forever, and at the moment, it's probably the stress of having to demolish and rebuild, is, you know, and like at our age now, this is the time we have our children reared. We're out at the, you know, they're finished the college. This is the time we should be able to start living, but we're going to have to start building.
I was lying in my bed at night and I was hearing the house moving. I was hearing cracks. I heard people saying that before I was able to hear them, and I was thinking, well, you're exaggerating a bit there, but no, you do hear your house moving. You hear the cracks in the walls. I lie awake at night listening to them, but I was lying in bed one night and I heard something falling off the house and hitting the ground outside. Our daughter, 11-year-old daughter, doesn't get the time with us now that she needs, because we're out putting up posters, we're joining campaigns, we're lobbying everybody that we can to try and get this all sorted out. So it has taken away our family life. It has taken away my daughter's childhood. It has just in the middle of ruining our family.
really open their eyes and put themselves in our shoes. Nobody in government would have their family living in the conditions that everybody else that has Mica are living in. They have a whole generation of children coming up that are worried about where they're going to live, where they have to move to, losing a house full of memories and milestones. None of them would put their families through that. None of them.
I feel a great sense of anxiety among a great deal of people because there's this unknown element of what the future is going to be for them. The sheer disruption of their lives, the worry, the financial worry, the practical worry of what they're going to do. And then in the short term, of course, the issue of, the safety of people in houses that are cracking rapidly and nowhere to go in the short term. So there's several layers of concern, anxiety and fear, yeah. And there's also anger, of course, because, when you stand back and look at the problem, you ask the question, how has this arisen? And there's serious anger that this was allowed to happen because it raises major questions about accountability, about regulations, about the enforcement of regulations. It raises questions about the quality of local government, enforcement of regulations, standards being maintained, and a certain, I think, anger that there's a detachment from central government. There's a lack of awareness of the scale and the seriousness of the problem. And that's all feeding into a great sense of discontent, resentment, and the need for a rapid, effective response.
Well, if you were to Google 5,000 houses destroyed, and I did Google it, you come up with natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, fires, wars, and right in the middle of it was Mica. And if there was a natural disaster that took out 5,000 houses in America or something like that, the president would fly to that part of America. And the first thing he would say is, what do you need me to do? They keep asking us, what do you want? Not one person have I met throughout this wanted any of this. This is a need, it's not a want.
I would say to government, listen to those who are negotiating on behalf of the Mica affected families. See this as a genuine crisis that is also an opportunity for generosity, care and justice for you as a government.
I would hope that they would have the guts to stand up. They bailed out banks and we had to support it. We had to suck it up whether we liked it or not. And for once, I'm just a normal Joe Soap, the same as the thousands of other homeowners that have invested in properties. We pay our household charges, we pay our taxes, we buy, everything is, we couldn't do it any better. And it's time that they let us down with the lack of regulations, in my opinion. So I would imagine they have to do the right thing. But getting governments to do the right thing mightn't be as straightforward.
Imagine this was your mammy. That's what I would say from my heart. Imagine you come up and live in a house that you're scared, that your family's scared is going to crack. And if you get into politics, to make a difference. You don't fall into that wee circle then and just keep your seat warm until your next term. You go into politics to make a difference. And if you've got power to change stuff for Irish families, old age pensioners, like mammies, people that rear their houses, this is not spongers. This is people who went out hard and worked to build a home for their families and to teach their children to try aim for better, aim for a house, aim high. What kind of message are you selling to people? Then whenever you're the ones that made a shambles this year, fix it. Fix your problem. Don't be handing it down to the people. It's just heartbreaking. We need people. The politicians need to understand. If you can't stand up for your people, times are going to change. And people can see after this here that people's not going to stand up for you. People's not fools no more. We used to be in a thing that we would just Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael for the last 100 years. Them days are gone. We've seen this lack of people cares. Like Fianna Fáil used for one used to have an identity as a Republican Party. Where's their identity now? I says to Charlie McCung, look, if you just want your identity back, no better way get your identity back to your Republican Party. Look after the citizens. Look after Irish people. It's not just Donegal. Mayo's coming into this. Sligo's coming into this. Limerick's coming into it. Tipperary's coming into it. And Clare's on it. So, if you can't look after the people, you shouldn't be in power.
The last scheme may have been introduced in good faith, Taoiseach, but the truth is that that scheme has not worked. That scheme has left these families in misery, living this nightmare day after day, night after night, and that must stop. We know that the only sustainable, viable redress is 100% redress. So I want to invite you again to clearly state that the government will pursue and deliver in a timely fashion a scheme that is 100% redress.
Yeah.
The people gathered on the streets of Dublin want to hear the Taoiseach confirm that. Can you confirm it for them, please?